If you're a fan of Ray Harryhausen, George Pal, or even Sid and Marty Krofft, you're going to love the 1969 kung fu adventure Dragon Swamp. It's got fiberglass mushrooms, incredibly bad back projection, quicksand, giant water lilies, a voice changer made out of dragon whiskers,
星儿，你觉得这碗龙胆好吃吗？
poofy poison breath, squirting cups. Basically, it's got everything and the kitchen sink. I confess this is my favorite Cheng Peipei Yueh film, even over Come Drink With Me, which is the generally agreed upon classic. Partially, that's because of Dragon Swamp's kitschy special effects, but it's also because we get twice the Cheng Peipei. We get a Cheng Peipei Peipei. She plays two characters, a plucky young Taoist monk and her own mother, who's kept youthful by drinking dragon bile or something. The dual role allows Cheng Peipei to show off her acting chops. The daughter is an irrepressible, blithe spirit. The mother is as stately and beautiful as Cheng ever was in her career. The overarching plot deals with Cheng figuring out that this woman, who looks exactly like her, is her mother, and that the villainous Lo Lie is actually her long-lost brother. This takes a long time to unwind, and none of us are really as surprised as Cheng herself is.
天叔说有个凡人也跟我长得一模一样，为什么跟我长得一样的人这么多？But
it's livened up by a series of adventures that eventually lead Cheng Peipei and Yueh into the titular Dragon Swamp. And the Dragon Swamp looks a bit like Journey to the Center of the Earth. The elder Cheng has been banished to the swamp for stealing a super weapon, the Jade Dragon Sword. And if that sounds familiar, it's because it's exactly the same plot as the Oscar-nominated 1999 film Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where Cheng Peipei essentially plays the same character. She's a bitter kung fu master betrayed by her loved ones who trains a young girl and is obsessed with stealing a green sword. Once the younger Cheng Peipei gets the sword back with the help of her reformed mother, we're treated to this mini movie within the movie. The young monk treks back solo to her monastery to return the sword to where it should be. Along the way, she meets various peasants, 2 cart drivers, a fisherman, a woodcutter, a beggar. They all encourage her to stay at this nearby inn, a kind of inn where someone always gets their butt kicked in these movies. And sure enough, she's having dinner when one by one, the same peasants file in, obviously setting up an ambush. It's similar to the iconic scene in Come Drink With Me, but much lighter in tone. Every villain showcases a quirky superpower, and obviously Cheng Peipei wipes the floor with them. Here the specter of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon comes up again. The rebellious young girl, trained by bitter old Cheng Peipei, destroys an inn and beats up a whole bunch of ruffians. You could almost edit these two movies together and make a 3-hour epic out of them. But why do I keep bringing up a 1990s film when trying to review a 1960s film? Especially when I have no proof that Dragon Swamp was based on the Crane Iron novels by Wang as Crouching Tiger was. Well, let's be honest. Headcanon is a heck of a drug. I can't watch a movie where Cheng Peipei trains a feisty young girl and steals a mystical green sword without connecting the two. And while I have no proof that Ang Lee watched Dragon Swamp when adapting this novel, I'd be pretty shocked if he hadn't. Wang Dulu's novels were popular outside of mainland China when Lee was a kid, despite the fact that Wang himself was sent off to be a farmhand during the Cultural Revolution. I like Crouching Tiger. It is a cool-looking movie, and I do love both Michelle Yeoh and Chow Yun-fat. But for me, this movie gets a little bit lost in the glut of great Chinese films that came out around that time. Zhang Yimou's gorgeous melodramas, John Woo's balletic bloodbaths, Wong Kar-wai's perfect imagery, Tsui Hark's delirious action films, not to mention underground masterpieces like Flowers of Shanghai and Millennium Mambo, or fun schlock like The Storm Riders, which woke me up to what CGI could do a full year before The Matrix came out. And Crouching Tiger actually pales next to Ang Lee's earlier intimate dramas, movies like Eat, Drink, Man, Woman or The Wedding Banquet. But Crouching Tiger was one of those rare movies that crossed international boundaries. You could take your parents to it, so it's lingered around in the public consciousness. If you haven't seen it in a couple decades, the movie essentially has 2 storylines. In one, as I mentioned, Cheng Peipei has corrupted a beautiful princess in order to steal the Jade Destiny Sword, but the princess falls for a dashing bandit instead. In the other plotline, a pair of middle-aged kung fu masters struggle with their hidden love. Hidden because Michelle Yeoh was once betrothed to Chow Yun-fat's best friend. Just like the Jade Destiny Sword storyline, this second unrequited love storyline has striking parallels to a not much remembered Shaw Brothers movie from the 1960s, Trail of the Broken Blade. In Broken Blade, Jimmy Wang Yu is on the lam for avenging his father, and he leaves Chen Ping behind to pine for him. Chen Ping's father wants her to marry the upright knight Kyo Chong. He is so upright that he actually sets out to reunite the woman he loves with her ex. It's a wacky film that veers from genre to genre in the way that 1960s Shaw Brothers movies sometimes do. It starts as an action flick. A half dozen guys get off before the credits roll. And then it's a musical for about 10 minutes. Wang Yu and Chen Ping explain their stories in song. Then it gets its feet under it as an action melodrama for about 1 hour. And then suddenly it goes adventure crazy with a pirate island full of booby traps. Naturally along the way, Kyo Chang and Wang Yu meet and become best friends. Eventually, Wang Yu sacrifices himself so that Kyo Chang and Chen Ping can be together. But Kyo Chang is too noble to take advantage of this, which would set up the unrequited love of Michelle Yeoh and Chow Yun-fat in the later film. However, just like Dragon Swamp, the final minutes of this film prevent it from becoming a true prequel to Crouching Tiger, since, spoilers, Chen Ping commits suicide and floats up to heaven alongside Wang Yu. And so here I am, trying to convince you to watch a couple of obscure 1960s wuxia films which form a loose trilogy with a 1999 Best Picture nominee. Why? Well, to put it simply, I'm really curious about the modern fixation on what is and is not canon in a franchise. Geek websites are full of theories about, how James Bond is a code name passed from spy to spy, and about how Anna and Elsa's parents died on their way to Rapunzel's wedding, and so on and so forth. Now, I get where people are coming from. We're interacting over this internet thing constantly, and we want to build relationships, so arguing about canon gives people something fixed, almost tangible that they can put their cares into. Canon means a shared experience. It's like going out and picking the gospel for yourself. But this is no longer just for internet-dwelling geeks. It's infected big corporations as well. Disney, when they bought Star Wars, jettisoned decades of lore in order to spew up their own crappy fan fiction. They built a theme park land where all the rides and merchandise and employee behavior is supposed to fit into a particular period of their imaginary Star Wars timeline.
Right, sons?
Like it's the freaking Renaissance fair. Frankly, it gets to be a colossal bore.
Right, sons? Right, sons.
Partly because then you tie yourself in knots trying to explain plot holes. Why didn't Darth Vader realize he was torturing his own daughter on the Death Star, for example? Why didn't Hermione Granger ever use the Time Turner after Book 3? Why didn't Nick Fury call up Captain Marvel when the Earth was threatened again and again and again? There's a pretty easy answer to all of the above. It's fiction. Somebody made it up. That person has a big budget and an audience, but they're a person just like you are. You can make stuff up too. Maybe you make up stuff. Maybe you make up stuff and make truckloads of money even if your stuff isn't any good. I think the two franchises that get this right are Doctor Who and James Bond, because neither gives a hoot about canon. The Doctor had grandkids, but now he doesn't. Daleks can't do stairs, or maybe they can fly. And maybe there's only one Dalek left, maybe there's a million of them, maybe they are invincible killing machines, or maybe you can knock them over like an empty trash can. Nobody cares, especially not the producers. Otherwise, how do you explain how regenerating your body can turn you from a manic drama queen into an idiot man-child, or into an aging punk rocker? How does James Bond meet Blofeld for the first time multiple times? How does James Bond change from a charming sociopath to a guy who makes cuddly dad jokes, and then into a wounded soul, and then into a murderous JCPenney's model, and then into a brooding Hulk? Headcanon is a heck of a drug. And the similarities between these films lead me into believing they're a trilogy. And instead of spending months editing together the Trail of the Crouching Dragon Sword supercut, which no one would watch, I thought it would be nice to make a 9-minute video and encourage you to check out these early Shaw Brothers classics. They're fun. So even if Chen Ping commits suicide, even if Cheng Peipei turns over a new leaf and returns the Jade Destiny sword to its rightful owners, to me these movies tell one continuous story. A friend of mine put it out there in this very Jacques Derrida way. The artist makes the work, then the audience interprets the work, and then the work of art exists, but not really before. Which I suppose means that if this video has 0 views, it never became a work of art. And that's fair enough. In other words, you know that old joke about how they never made a 4th Indiana Jones movie? It's pretty much true, in my imagination.